about like almost 2 weeks ago, I lost a friend of mine, and I genuinely don't know how to take it if I'm being real. Because this is like somebody who I knew back in high school, and I had known, and it was in a specific school, and I'd known him there since essentially since I came to the school. We'd known each other for like a year. I only really saw him in passing and saw him talk every now and then. Then the next year we ended up being in the same class, and we weren't really talking that much then. And then 3 years later, and the third year, I think that was when we actually did get close and became friends and sort of like formed a bond. Like I formed a bond with everybody in that class too. But he was one of the people who I was definitely the closest to out of all of them. And it's just sad to hear about, honestly. Yeah, the guy passed away 2 weeks ago, and I don't really know how to go about it because I don't want to use it as an excuse to, because this is like this fucked up thing people like to do when it comes to somebody in their lives dying, is that they use it as like sort of a crutch and an excuse as to why, they're weighed down now and why they're super lazy and don't want to do anything in their lives anymore. They use the fact that this relative or friend of theirs died as a sort of excuse. Yeah, I hear people even do that for public figures too, and I don't know. People deal with things differently and people grieve differently. So I don't want to sound like I'm just shaming the people in the world who do this, essentially. And, I'm just saying I feel like with my thought process, I genuinely don't want to be put in that position where, somebody died and and it's like, okay, now I'm super depressed now. I'm gonna start drinking, I'm gonna start smoking, I'm gonna what else am I gonna do? I'm gonna just stop doing everything. I haven't uploaded in a while. And it wasn't even because of that, it's just because I just actively wasn't doing it for some dumb reason, even though it's super easy. I just record like 10 videos in one day, probably put on some different clothes here and there, and I'll be fine, you know? But, I just haven't been doing it because I'm a like procrastinating idiot, essentially, not really for any deep reason other than that, too. And, and that's it. And here's another thing about procrastination, too. This thing that's happened has taught me a lesson for procrastination, essentially. And the lesson that I've learned in light to procrastination is the fact that you don't know when it's going to end for that person. And that's how it was for me. I didn't know that it was going to end for him. He just seemed like somebody who couldn't die. Well, obviously, factually, yeah, no, everybody is going to die. But for me, he just seemed like somebody who couldn't die. Not even, especially not now, too. And it just hurt when I heard the news, and I kind of didn't believe it at first. I thought I was being pranked. I thought, I was being messed with a little bit when, unfortunately, it wasn't, and yep, that happened. And before that, it's not like we got into some fight before he died. I think the deal was that, we were meant to call and hang out for a bit. He had just gotten off school too. I was kind of getting some free time myself, and we were gonna just go on a video call for a bit. And I had just procrastinated to oblivion for it. So that I call him, I couldn't get back to him. I try to call him again, and I don't reach him. And yeah, it just, and then yeah, boom. 2 years, 2 months later, thanks to my procrastination, I didn't get to have like a proper heartfelt conversation with him one last time, or just like, have some banter with him one last time, or just joke around with him one last time, talk about part 9 of JoJo's, or do any of that with him because, you know, he died. And, I'm a procrastinating idiot. And I didn't even get to have that moment, too. And I feel like that has severely taught me a lesson when it comes to procrastination with people now. and I even do it too. And it can like come to terms in so many different ways, not just with them dying, but you know, they could get sick of you and not want to talk to you anymore. Or one day they might just forget about you because of how much you just sort of seem like a passerby or this one person they talk to a bit, and you're not that relevant to them in their lives anymore. And it's nothing malicious necessarily, and I feel like I messed up in that way too. I feel like I messed up. And I think the last conversation I ever had with him, it wasn't even a conversation, it was a text exchange where he was actually out with other friends of mine, but I didn't get to go because I'm in a different country and they're in different countries. They're in Trinidad, my hometown, and I'm in America right now, of course. And it was just of them playing pool. They were at a bar having fun, enjoying themselves. And, I think the last thing I said was like, I just posted a like dotted line emoji of the character of like a sort of blank thing to basically symbolize that, I was kind of upset because I wasn't there to enjoy that because it did look like they were genuinely having fun and I would have enjoyed it too. Although, yeah, yeah, that was and he replied with the like tear emoji, and that was the last conversation I ever had with him, which is, you know, such a shame on my part because I think since I moved here, I've talked about this before on the channel, but since I moved here, I have talked a lot about, just struggling to make friends, find friendship, and, romantic relationships. And I feel so hopeless in this sense. If I'm struggling with platonic relationships, then what are my chances of getting into a romantic relationship? But this is just me thinking in the platonic side of things too. And platonically, I these guys were good friends of mine who I've known and still talk to, even when I was feeling super lonely and at that time where I wasn't going anywhere, I was only going to work and home and probably the occasional restaurant that's killing me. And that was it. There was a point in time when that would be all I do, just go home and go to work when I would have free time to go out and just see the world. I'd still just choose to stay home and, feel lonely because I just use dumb stuff like Tinder or Discord to try and meet people when Tinder or Discord doesn't even work out anymore like that, you know? And I don't recommend doing that to meet new people, Like, talk to people you already know. And I feel like the reason I have that connection with them and with him and, those other guys I knew, we went through the same things. That school we went to, it sucked. Like, it sucked to be a kid going to that school. The older and older you got, the more and more shitty it was to be in that school. And we both went through that. We both mutually had a hatred for being there and wanted to get out and had like huge aspirations and stuff to look forward to once we left. And he had stuff that he could look forward to too because he was like practicing music theory in university, and I'm here making beats, doing videos, doing all kinds of art now, and I'm feeling free. I'm going to parties and stuff, even though I'm sort of starting to outgrow that a little bit, just a little bit. I still do want to go though, because for networking sake, but I am still sort of just not into it anymore. But I digress. That's for another video that I will make right after this video, and right after I put on a different shirt to make it look like it was filmed in a different day. Also, like probably tweaking the lighting a little bit too, you know, just for fun. Yeah, we both hated it in that school, and we're looking forward to the time we left and where we were basically all ruling the world and like, giving those people like who were in that school, those people who were running that school, if we could call it that, the middle finger. We're doing good too, unlike what you said, and we both uh, it's just a lot. It's a lot for me. is weird because I've been sort of refusing to tell people about his death too, because I kind of don't want it to, I don't want it to turn into like my behavior and my actions sort of being scrutinized now. But I feel like it is best that I have to say goodbye to him now and just like let it out, let it all out. So, you know, if somebody sees this video, they see the video. But if somebody doesn't see the video, they don't see the video. You know, that's how it is. But I miss him. I'm going to miss him. I do miss him already. It's been 2 weeks only, and I already miss him. I missed him even when I got the news and it became confirmed that it's true, too. But you know, all there is to just hope that it doesn't happen to anyone else anytime soon, and to have faith in my own life and let this just be a drive for me to want to work harder because it's what he would have wanted. It's what Dion would have wanted. That's his name. His name's Dion, too.